Welcome back to the Constant Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Stanley Chock, and today it'll just be me, and we're going to be talking about a few different topics. We're going to be talking about dealing with grief. We'll also be talking about how disciplined exercise helps with life, and then also living life one step at a time. The reason why I chose these three topics were not necessarily for any specific reason. It was more of the things that I'm going through, the things that I've been involved with, the things that I've been thinking about, the things that have been on my mind and on my heart recently. So we're gonna start with dealing with grief. Dealing with grief is a tough one. A little backstory, probably around the end of March, my dad passed away. And it was super sudden, passed away from a heart attack, and I wasn't anywhere near home. My wife got a call from my mom, and my wife told me about the situation that happened. And at first, it was very much so just surreal, and I didn't necessarily know what to do or how to go about things or if it was even real at the time. And as we gone through the process, we flew back about a week and a half ago, and we got to have a service, and it was awesome. And we were happy to have family down and lots of friends show up that I haven't seen in a long time, probably since I was a kid. But there was just this overwhelming sense of peace that myself and my family had. And then also there was also a sense of joy from my end because of the people and the support that showed up for my dad. And the pastor said this when we were doing the service, he was doing the service. He was saying like, wow, we know that Stanley is loved. Stanley is my dad. He's the second, I'm the third. But he said, wow, we know Stanley was loved because of all of the people that has come to support. At that moment, it was a very strong moment because it helped me to realize, oh wow, to be honest, I didn't necessarily think people would come or a lot of people would come. I thought we would have maybe like 50 people, but there was a good chunk of people, probably 75 plus, maybe even over 100 plus that came, and we had lots of food, lots of extra. But the whole point was that it brought me peace and brought me joy that even though my father passed away and I wasn't, necessarily on the island to support my mom or support the family that's on the island, there was a peace and a joy that came over me, especially after the service. But something I wanted to talk about is just about dealing with grief, and whether or not you like this segment or think it's too serious, that's okay. You can skip over to the next segment, which is, I guess, more about kind of more not sad, but dealing with grief. So my first point is grief comes and goes. What I realize is that grief is one of those things that I thought when we were at the service that I was gonna cry more. I thought, it was gonna be more gloomy. It was gonna feel dark. It would feel sad, feel lots of sorrow, feel lots of pain, and there definitely was all of those things. But what I realized that when I was at the service or after the service is that the grief comes and goes. So as we live our life and we go on through life, and life will come to an end, in the sense of we'll all die one day. But the idea of dealing with the grief in the moment was probably, it was obviously hard, but it wasn't as much grief as I thought there would be. So the big points of grief that I've experienced so far is obviously right when my dad passed away, leading up to the service, just here and there, sprinkled here and there, and then also during the service for a quick moment. And what I realize is that the grief is there, and honestly will probably forever be there, and it will continue to come and go. And I thought it was just going to be this whole barrage of emotions and pain and hurt. What I realized is like, oh, I'll be dealing with this for the rest of my life. And not to make it sound too intense or too sad or too like, oh, that's a lot, I don't want to deal with this pain. I believe you end up being okay with it. After a while, you come to terms with it. Even though obviously this is a really sad thing, I think there are harder ways we can lose people in certain circumstances and certain situations. I think that yes, losing a parent is sad and it hurts. But what I also think is that it's not the biggest relationship that we could lose. For example, imagine being with, you know, with a person for your whole life and then losing them. I think that's much stronger and much more painful. Imagine possibly losing your own child. Your own child passes away before you pass away. That's painful. So in the sense that, yes, it is a really painful thing, but just understanding that grief comes and goes. And, next year in March, I'll probably think of my dad and I'll be sad and I'll cry and memories will come back, pain will come back, sadness will come, and I'll go through those things and eventually come to an end of the emotions, and it's like, okay, time to move forward. And I'm sure most people that have passed away, if they were watching us right now, they would, they wouldn't want us to be sad, and they would want us to move on, to live our life. And my dad was a very jokester kind of guy. He was stubborn, liked to joke around a lot, liked to laugh. So even us having the service for him and having people bring flowers and bring food, to be honest, I don't know if he would want that he wouldn't care, or he wouldn't want to. He would tell us, no, you don't need to do that. But the idea is that grief will come and go, and forever we'll probably deal with that type of grief. When I'm 80, when I'm 90, tomorrow, whatever, like, it'll come and go. It's how we approach it and how we deal with it, where it goes. And I don't believe that grief should stay inside, but I believe that we should allow ourselves to grieve and allow ourselves to cry and talk about our feelings and talk about the things that we're going through. It's only natural. And so that's kind of where that is with that. What I realized is that when my dad passed away, it somehow sparked a fire in me to, okay, I obviously regret, not necessarily being there with my dad when he passed away, or not being close, or being able to support my parents, or my mom. But what I realized is that when my dad passed away, it sparked a fire in me to continue to, I want to be the best dad that I can be. And it sounds cliche and it sounds so rudimentary. It sounds so basic, but it is what it is. Like, I want to be the best father for my daughter. I want to be the best husband for my wife. I want to be a better friend. And it almost makes you realize how short life is. And what we can do is to take that and take a hold of that and use that to our advantage, and to use it in the things that we're doing in our life, raising our kids, spending time with our family, chasing a career, pursuing a job, whatever it may be. These losses can become gains. And if we understand that, we're able to use those things that we lost to light a fire under us, to continue to move forward with our life with joy, with peace, and with more drive than you could ever think. All right, section 2, how disciplined exercise helps with life. So all of you guys know that I am a personal trainer, and if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I'm reading my notes here, but you guys know that I am a personal trainer, and I've been training for probably professionally for about the last 4 or 5 years, and been training myself probably last 8 to 9 consistently. So this comes from a place of experience. This comes from a place of being in the industry, the fitness industry, the exercise industry, being surrounded by lots of trainers or people that have pursued fitness and exercise. So how disciplined exercise helps with life. The first off, it is a transferable discipline. And what I mean by transferable discipline is that everything that you literally learn in exercise and fitness and training can relate to something else outside in the real world, whether it's being disciplined, whether it's consistency, whether it's suffering through challenges, whether it's doing things that you don't want to do. All of these things will and can apply to any external part of your life if you allow it to. So for example, consistency. What is good with consistency, or why can consistency be helpful? Well, think about, if I am consistent in my exercise and my training and my fitness, let's say every day I go to the gym, or every other day I have a routine, I have a schedule, I have things that I want to do or things that I want to accomplish, and I'm doing those things, doing those tasks in order to achieve those goals. What we can realize is that when we are going through those things, we can literally pull that skill out of exercise and into our job. Let's say, instead of me wanting to grow my shoulders, for example, like let's say that's a goal. I want to get to this position, or I want to make this amount of money in my job or in my career. We can use those skills, because what does it take in order to have those things? What it takes is consistency. So you need to show up, right? In order to get something, to get to the next level, you need to continue to show up. So same thing with exercise. Show up every day or every time you plan to. And same thing with your job. Show up every day. Make sure that you get the tasks done. Make sure that you are doing the things that you need to do, fixing the things that you need to fix. Eventually, sooner or later, you'll climb the ladder, in a sense, and achieve something that was a goal in the first place. So consistency, being consistent, being disciplined, or being able to do things that you don't want to do. There's lots of areas in our life that we can apply that to. Like our job. Sometimes we don't want to do our job, but guess what? When you do those difficult things that you don't want to do, whether it's mundane, whether it's actually a hard task, whatever it may be, you gain a skill and you sharpen your skill that you will be able to use later on in your said new position, or in your said job, your career, whatever it may be. It teaches you how to endure these challenges. So think about, if you've been exercising and training for a long time, understand that you are able to use that and apply it to real life. I don't understand why you wouldn't be able to apply it to anywhere else in your life, whether it's raising your kids, whether it's your career, whether it's working on a new hobby or a new skill. You can literally apply everything, all the principles that are within exercise and training, into other areas of your life, not only your job, maybe even your family, maybe even your friendships, maybe even that thing you're trying to learn, whatever it may be. Use those things, use the skill from exercise and training to transfer it to other places. Another thing is that you're literally building a stronger body and mind. There's several studies out there that have been telling us that, exercise helps with anxiety. Exercise helps the cognitive functions in our mind, on our body, helps our body to literally get better and stronger in order to do said things. So our body adapts. We exercise and our body adapts. And next time you come back and exercise, you might be able to lift a little heavier, or you might be able to be a little faster, or you might be able to do whatever the skill may be. Use those things, because you're literally building a stronger mind and a stronger body. The question for you is, are you exercising? Are you in fitness? Are you training? And what are you doing those things for? Is it to, get fit? Is it to lose weight? Is it particularly for, it's for my mind, like I feel really good about, like I go and exercise, I feel really good, and it does a lot for me. Whatever it may be, remember, you can always use these things in other areas, and this skill is transferable. Use this, transfer the discipline from here to all the other things in your life, and I promise you, it will do more than you think it will. And if you are just in the beginning of exercise and training, I encourage you and I challenge you to continue to do that for the next year, and see you'll understand that there are hard days and there are difficult times. But since you are strong, since you are driven, since you are motivated and passionate about achieving the things that you want to do, you will continue and you will stick through. And if you are not, you'll see a fall off. You'll see like, if you make excuses, there's thousands of excuses that people make, and I want to make a video about it, but maybe we could do that another time. Use the skills that you get in the gym outside of the gym and watch it bring value to your life. All right, in part 3, so we're going to be talking about living life one step at a time. Living life one step at a time. I love this quote, and I've said it probably dozens of times on the podcast, but my wife always told me brick by brick. And how I interpreted that was, it's one step at a time, one step at a time. A house is being built, you put one piece at a time, one piece at a time. A piece may fall off, okay, well, fix it, another piece. What we need to understand is we need to live life one step at a time. Why are we rushing? Why are we feeling like we're so eager to get somewhere or to achieve something, when if we live one step at a time and live with our eyes in front, we can kind of see like, okay, this is where I need to go next, this is what I need to do next, and live life with present day actions and future day thinking. Let me say that again. So live life with present day actions and future day thinking. So live life as if you were living right now in the present, the tasks that are in front of you, the people that are in front of you. Live life with those things, but also have in mind the future. Not necessarily thinking about the future of like, oh, I have to be there, and you're trying to take actions to get there. Not necessarily in that way, but live life here, right now, where we are right now in this very moment, and continue to think and have the future in mind, because that'll have you and that'll help you to drive and move forward in your life. Second of all is big things take time. So we need effort, we need time, and we need consistency. If we can use those 3 things in our life, we'll be able to grow whatever that we have in mind, whether it's relationship, whether it's career, whether it's hobby, whether it's a skill. It takes time. You got to try hard, and you got to do it over and over again. And it's a pretty simple formula. Time plus effort plus consistency equals growth, equals success, equals productivity, whatever it may be. So understand that using those things will be of value to you, and it will work. Just continue to do it. Continue to do it, step by step, brick by brick. And lastly is, do not forget about the people in front of you and the things that are in front of you. And this is a great quote that one of my friends said on our last podcast. And he was saying, like, I wish I spent more time with the people that were right in front of me and the things that were right in front of me, and not think about my career, not thinking too far ahead. And it really stuck to me, and it really resonated with me and helped me to understand, like, oh, I want to spend time with my daughter. I want to spend time with my family. I want to build my career, yes, but these are the things that are right in front of me. And it makes sense, especially with the whole child thing. When you have a child, you'll understand that, like, oh, you feel like you don't have time for anything else. But at the same time, you need to think like, oh, this is literally the only time that you will have with your daughter, your son at this age. There's like, they want to play with you, they want to be with you all the time. There's going to be a day when they're 12, 13, 14, they're teenagers, and they don't want to play with you anymore. They want to go hang out with their friends. They want to go do this. They don't want to be by mom and dad. So take advantage of the time now, because I think we will regret it. And I'm not there yet. I only have one kid. I have no experience in the teens, but what I think will come is that we will regret the time we didn't spend with our children if we don't take that chance now. And I want to be sure, and I want to be positive that, oh, I spent as much time as I could with my family, with my daughter, and I don't regret it when she grows up and moves on in life, because eventually all of us need to do that. But continue to do that step by step, continue to grow, use your time, your effort, and consistency to continue to grow your life and push your life forward brick by brick, step by step, and remember not to forget about the things that are right in front of you, the people that are right in front of you, and take a hold of these moments and these times. Remember, let's live life with present actions and future thinking. All right, thank you so much for listening to the Constant Pursuit podcast. If you guys like this kind of podcast where it's just me talking about a few different topics, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys want to see the audio version or hear the audio version, make sure to follow us on all of our platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, all those things. Everything will be down in the description down below. Subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.